In our last video, we set up quite a few different VLANs to include a management VLAN, but we just set up the management VLAN. We didn't actually put anything on the management VLAN. What I'd like to do is any kind of management network device like our switches and our routers, I would like to assign to that management VLAN. So that's what we're going to take a look at here is we're going to assign a management VLAN to the switches for management, and then we're going to move the laptop over to it as well. So one thing I did that I showed in my last video is I already had allotted everything out, figured out the IP address ranges, recorded it in my configuration file right here so that way I have a reference for later on. The other thing I also scoped out was the process in which I am going to implement the change, because this time I will break some connectivity. So the process that I'm going to use to do this is, first of all, I'm going to set up the management interfaces on those switches. We're going to create an SVI out of it. And then I am going to change S2, switch 2, port 34. So that's the one that the demo laptop is on. I'm going to actually switch over to the new management VLAN. Once I do that, I'm going to break connectivity to the switches, and I'm going to lose connectivity to the switches. So then I'll have to change the laptop IP address. Once I change the laptop IP address, I'll be able to make the changes within PuTTY to point to the new management interfaces. I will test connectivity. Hopefully everything goes well, but this is networking and this is technology and this is life. Things don't always go as according to plan, so we may have to do some troubleshooting in that case. Then I will remove the old management interfaces. And then I will have to change my ping test. I've got a little ping test that I'll show you. I'll have to change that. I'll have to then, of course, do the backup configs and save the configuration. Down here towards the bottom, I'm pinging two different addresses. I'm pinging both of these are going to be, one is switch 1 right now, and one is going to be switch 1. So 10.1.0.11 is the current interface that I'm actually remoted into for configuration. And 10.1.10.11 is the management interface I would like to switch over to. All right, so let's get started. What I'll do is I'll minimize that because I pretty much have it all in the configs at this point in time. The first thing that I'm going to change is the management of switch 3. That is the farthest switch in my network. And then I'm going to do switch 2 and then switch 1. So in case I break connectivity any point in time with this, I'll still have connectivity to the other devices. So I will pull up switch 3, which is the one that we're going to do first. I got to get into global configuration mode. I'm going to get into the interface 10 command, interface VLAN 10. And then I will configure the IP address for it. First of all, the IP version 4 address, then the IP version 6, and then the default gateway, which does not exist right now. So because the default gateway does not exist, once I enter this command in, I won't be able to get to that device until I have some sort of routing figured out, because these are different networks. So I'm going to right click on here, enter that in. I've entered it in before at this point, and once again, I don't have connectivity to it because this is a whole nother network and I don't have routing, but I still have connectivity to the switch. As you can see, I'm still getting a response back, and that's because I'm still on the old management interface. So that's all good, that works. Next, what we'll do is we're gonna jump onto switch 1 and we're gonna do the same thing. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it into here. All right, and then finally switch 2. I will copy the management interface for switch 2 and paste it into there. The next thing that I'm going to do is move over the laptop to move the port over to VLAN 10. So that way the demo laptop is sitting on VLAN 10. So here I have, it's on interface FA034. I got switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10, and the description on it is demo laptop. So when I enter this set of commands in, this is where it's going to break connectivity, because my IP address is on VLAN 1, but I'm switching it over to VLAN 10. So it's the IP address is on a different network than the VLAN is set up for. So I'm going to paste this into here, and as you can see, I got to the point, it didn't even get the description. As soon as I got to the VLAN 10, it broke connectivity, and now I don't have connectivity onto this device. So pretty instantaneously, I see that it's stopped. It's timed out. It's timing out on this side too because I no longer have access to the default gateway. And there, my network error, it's gonna pop up for each switch because I'm gonna lose connectivity to each of the switches. So, so then it's gonna break that connectivity. So next, what I'm going to do is I am going to change my connection here. So I like to go into this window right here, and we're working with this Ethernet. So I'm going to go into Properties and IP version 4, and we are now on 10 network, and that will be the gateway in the future. There's not a gateway right now, but that will be the gateway in the future. So I'll do that, and then I'll click OK. And then that's just a warning because of the way I've got I'm actually remoted into this via the wireless connection. So it recognizes that it's got multiple gateways, and that throws up that warning. So same thing, I'm going to add the 10 into our IP version 6 address. And then click OK. We're going to close it out. Okay, I made one slight modification here, and now I'm getting some pings out. And that is, from the demo laptop, I was pinging S1. Well, when I switched over to a new VLAN, I no longer had access to the old VLAN IP address because we're not doing routing. Neither could I send across this link right here, so I wasn't getting any access. So instead I started pinging .12, which is switch 2, which I'm connected to, and as you can see, I do have connectivity now to it. So at this point in time, if I wanted to do any other configurations, what I could do is I could come into PuTTY, and I want to do a new session, and I still want to connect to switch 2, but instead of this IP address, I'm going to change it to the 10.1.10.12 and click on Save. And so now what it is I've got, when I load this up, it's going to point to the new IP address. I could click on Open. It's going to open up. It thinks it's a new certificate or new connection, so it's asking me to accept the certificate. I click OK. I do need my password, so I'm going to copy the password, paste that into there. And now I'm back onto this device. So now I'm up and running. Now that I have connectivity to switch 2, the last thing that I'm going to do is go back and remove that management interface that I had before. That was part of VLAN 1. So what I'm going to do is get into the global configuration mode. I'm going to paste this into there. And now I've removed the IP address that's associated with VLAN 1, so now people can't get to it. If I left it on there, then it's a little pointless in me having a management VLAN because they can access it through these other methods. So now we've got it narrowed down to you can only access the switch through that the new management VLAN. Now, what I'm going to have to do next is I'm going to have to get connectivity. We're needing to set up some trunk lines between all of these switches so the rest of our traffic can get managed through the rest of, so we can get traffic through the rest of our network. The last thing I need to do is go hit the other switches and take that management interface off. I need to do a copy run start to save that setting on each of the switches. And then I need to grab the new configuration so I have a backup copy of what the configuration is now, and then we're done. We're finished and we've implemented our VLANs on here.